Christ. Praise God. Praise the Holy Spirit. Because today is Sunday. Sunday morning, in fact. Hey, Daniel Barry. Happy Sunday indeed. I hope it's happy. God is good. They say He's good. Is He good for you? Let us know. So I normally don't stream on Sunday, but I also normally don't wake up before midnight and can't get back to sleep on a work night either. So here I am. And here you get to be if you want to. Just open pen. I only have a couple of hours. Then I have to start getting ready. But I don't know, I've been really getting a lot out of streaming lately. So when I get something good, like a positive benefit out of something, I tend to do it more. It's like a green light for health. Healthy. Do this. It's healthy. It's good for you. It's going to help you in some way. At least that's my hope. My delusion. We talked the other day about seeing things kind of more how you want to see them than how they actually are. But when you're starting a business or building a community or anything like that, you kind of have to do it that way. There is no as they are yet. So you have to believe in your vision and get it out there however you do. So that's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm here. Um, and hopefully we get entertained and learn stuff in the process. Also, let's see who else is streaming on a two in the morning on a Sunday. Oh, or maybe not. We have a guest. Got to make room for this fine, young, not sure what age they are. Um, hot mama. Not even
Yeah.
sure if they're a parent. Welcome, welcome,
Mm.
welcome. Good morning.
Thank you.
What are you
Thank
doing up
you.
on a Sunday? Getting ready for church?
What? Where'd your
Hey,
volume
Dina.
go? Hey, Dino. Okay, well, I came up here to tell you a joke. I already told it to Dino. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love a joke.
A priest, a pastor, and a rabbit all walked into a blood clinic to make a donation. And the nurse asked the rabbit, "What's your blood type?" And the rabbit says, "Probably a typo."
I get it. That's a cute. I like that one. It tickles your mind.
I kind of fucked it up a little bit, but you get the drill.
Yeah,
Whatever
it
you
was.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good filter joke. The ones that don't get it on this side of the room, the ones that do over here.
Oh,
How's it going?
it's going so good. I can't
Is
stay,
it
but
so
I
so
just
good?
am so excited to see you and tell you.
Oh, the
Yeah.
joke. Well, I'm gonna be at work today, so if I see my coworker, he might load me up with a couple of more.
Okay, I have one more ready. I think I
All
might have
right.
already told this to you, but I forgot it and then remembered it. So,
Okay.
oh, did I tell you that I went to the bee shop recently because I needed to get 12 bees? And then the
Like
beekeeper,
the animals,
the
they
insect,
yeah, the insect. They sell
yeah,
them by the dozen.
yeah, but
Oh,
what
okay.
ended up happening was the guy actually gave me 13. And so I went back and I'm like, I only asked for 12. And he said, oh, the other one is a freebie.
I, I forgot it was a joke. I was taking it all seriously as a
You
story, like you
know.
raised bees and you had.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, that was good. That's a great way to start a Sunday.
There you go. Okay, well, I'm going to leave before I fuck it up. Okay, have a blessed day. Bye.
Bless, yeah, happy day. Oh, happy day, everybody. That's wow. We should this Sunday should be more often, More days of the week should be like Sunday. My camera's doing that weird flashing thing again. Does anybody know where that happens? Every now and then, it will turn me red and do this flashing. And it has something to do with, I think, the lighting, but the lighting's the same lighting I always use. So if anybody can shed some light on this, I would be grateful because I can't keep looking at myself flash. Let's see, did this change it a bit? It's something with the camera. I wonder if I leave and come back. Does it need cleaning? See, when I move the camera, it vibrates. It's time for new everything. Uh, well, anyway, welcome to the rest of you insomniacs that are out there. This is your before work, at least for me. Your morning, you got up early. It's not quite time for work yet, but you have time to play in the Panelverse, which that's most of you. I don't know if you do work, because a lot of you are always here, and I used to always be here before I started working. I'm still always here as much as I can be. I can't take this flashing. I look distorted. This is like where I want to go turn the knobs on the TV to adjust the color. People are not supposed to be this color. Look at this. This is why I need a producer. This is their job. Fix my lighting. Their job is to make me look good. Since I can't pull it off on my own. They're like YouTube beauticians. And I'm ready for church. I'm ready to go all out. But that's with the flash, with the flare. There's also content. That's what I need to focus on. And the content that I want to see here, that I get the most out of, is self-improvement, growth, trying to be better, or trying to actualize a vision that you see as good. So that's what I want to help with. I haven't talked myself out of that road trip yet. I keep trying really hard. I thought of almost a good reason the other day and then I forgot it. It had something to do with the tech or the logistics of it. It was some practical reason, but I don't remember it. I don't know. Just I've been up here for so long. I'm starting to feel confined. I wanna I wanna be free and wander for a while. And I want to build. I really have this strong impulse in me to build something useful, something potentially lasting, at least as lasting as the internet can be. Something that helps people, something that brings people together in a constructive way, a healthy way. That's what I want to build. So if you're out there and you're looking to build the same thing. Let's roll up our sleeves and get working. In the meantime, we have this little space where I personally have been hanging out here. I started hanging out online again because I did it in the past as well during COVID, during 2020. I really had no reason to be on it when I had a actual life, like a working life, and hobbies and events and community groups and that kind of stuff. Real person community. So during 2020, I started Zooming and Discord, and eventually started my first channel. But that kind of fluctuated. It wasn't the same people all the time. It would be one little group, and then it would move on to some other little group, and then another little group after that, etc. But they were kind of isolated, discrete little groups. I've been hanging out in the panelverse 2.5 years, maybe, with consistently the same people, or at least there is a consistent group of people over that 2.5 years that's kind of always been around. It doesn't feel like 2.5 years because time in the panelverse is very inert. It's just everything seems like it's always happening in this one time, panel time. But when I look back, that was more or less my community for the last 2.5 years, and that's pretty stable for a community, and it's pretty stable for such an unstable medium with such unstable individuals in it. And I mean that descriptively, not judgmentally. I'm not the most stable person myself. I don't think anybody like is completely. People that seem like they have their life together, that can all fall apart at any second, the same as anybody else. The right stressor, the right external event, the right internal stressor, the right external event that gets internalized as an internal stressor. Any of that. That's all it takes for anybody. But that's to be in a community for 2.5 years and to kind of compare and evaluate it by the communities I've been part of in the past. The first thing that it stands out is what I just said, how consistent it was. For that amount of time, the same people were participating, even longer than me. So it had a core, it had stability. But for me to be in a group that long, and I'm kind of having this experience at work and some of my other social groups as well, for me to be part of a group for that long, there's usually like this second layer of connections that come out of it that I can easily identify as out of this group, out of this community. I have this little subgroup of these people that I have these deeper connections with beyond the rest of the community. I don't really have that here. It's still kind of just a collection of people that I feel connected to all of them. And I mean, there's a few that stand out as connections, but it's still different from how a group would ordinarily work in real life. So that's different. That's one difference I notice is that lack of obvious connection that your mind can just go to and say, "Yep, that's a connection. That's a connection. That's a connection. That's a connection." And we've talked about this on a lot of streams before about friendship on the internet and friendship in the panelverse, and there's so much of, is it a connection? It feels like a connection, but it's not quite like a real life. Is it a friendship? It seems like a friendship, but is there something different about it? And because this is such a new medium, I think we're all going through that, trying to feel it out, figure it out. Oh, I think, did the flashing stop? No, it's when I get close. If I stay far away, it doesn't seem to flash. Oh, well, y'all don't need to see me up close anyway. So those are my current thoughts on things. My 2 in the morning thoughts. I guess my other thoughts is I'm returning to work today after 4 or 5 days off. And so it's like readjust. It's kind of like when school starts again. You have to readjust to the routine. So I'm hoping my psyche kicks into that. I'm sure it will. But that's the longest I've been away since I started this job. I usually don't get more than a couple of days back to back. And the other thing that's new is that now what? Because I'm not tied down anywhere. I'm not stuck anywhere. I'm not obligated. I have no particular obligations. And so it changes. That's another thing I want to talk about. That we were talking about the perceptual breakdown and disintegration the other day, and I started to think about it more. And I don't think that's quite right. It's not so much the perceptions that disorganize and break down, because perception is what you see, what you're perceiving. And so what you perceived is probably still what happened. It's the inferences that get packaged into that we kind of draw from those perceptions. So the perceptions remain stable. I don't think the facts change much. There may be new facts, and then you have to reorganize that perceptual schema. But it's not so much the objects of perception, what you perceived. It's the conclusions, the narrative, the story you were telling yourself about. That's what changes. That's what gets disrupted and disintegrates. Hey, freak, what's up? I was wondering if I did this stream, who would be out wandering at this hour, and I guess I have my answers. They say the freaks come out at night, and at least one of them does. Good to see you. So that is what is actually breaking down, is the story you were telling yourself about those perceptions. You got it wrong. You thought you got it right and you got it wrong. And so everything gets disrupted into chaos as you try to figure out the new right. But you haven't figured it out yet. So that is the state where not the perceptions are disintegrating, but your assumptions that you based on them or that they were based on. Either way, it's probably reciprocal. Beak! Oh my God, thank you and hello. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you very much. Let's see the sticker. Oh, the call. Thank you. Much appreciated. Here, let's get you some. Oh wait, I forgot what my fanfare music is. No, not that. Well, thank you nonetheless. I'll tell you what I will give you if I can find it. StreamYard keeps reorganizing my files because you can drag them and move them around, but then when I pull up StreamYard the next day, they're all in a different order. There you go. Thank you, Beak. Bring it back there. Makes me want to punk out too. I think that's another theme that keeps coming up is like the seeing your shadow or getting a glimpse of your dark side. And a lot of it's just that punk energy. And a lot of people can't handle being around that. We can be aggressive, abrasive, temperamental. We spurg out. A lot of us are spurgs. And usually it's for a reason, but the reason's not obvious in the moment, so it looks like we're just attacking people. But a lot of times, if you take the time to understand, you could figure out what the initial event that this is following from is. And another thing I noticed, and y'all could let me know if there's like a complementary one on the other side, but there seems to be a gender thing to it as well because a woman they kind of get a pass. So if they're the if somebody's doing something in reaction, if a man is doing something in reaction to something a woman did or said, it's the man that's the initiator and the perpetrator and the troublemaker, even though he's reacting to something about the woman. But that they never get called out or held to account for their role in it. It always starts with the reaction from the man. That's where the trouble is beginning. At least I've been in that situation many, many, many times in my life, starting from childhood. Because I was one of the few male, until my mom remarried, I was like the only male in a family of females. And I had my younger brother, but they were infants. So the female dynamic definitely won out. And I was in that scapegoat role quite often. Which is what it is. It's scapegoating the woman's role. Because if a conversation or an interaction is going completely normal and harmonious and everything's fine, and then all of a sudden it starts to break down, and the first point of breakdown that people notice is a man reacting and being aggressive or spurging out or raising his voice or something. To observers, it's going to look like, oh, this man is agitated and angry, and this poor innocent woman, she doesn't deserve this kind of treatment, blah blah blah. So it's going to look like the man is the source of the breakdown, but that is not always the case. And I don't think people take time to look at the woman's role in it and what the man could be reacting to. And she may not be aware, but it's still something that can be factored into the account if you want a complete account. And that's why I was wondering if there was anything on the opposite side where there's like a woman reacting to something a man said or did, and the woman gets, it looks like she's causing the trouble, but it's actually the man had a role in it, but everybody's giving that a pass. I'm sure there's got to be. So it may not be a gender thing, but in some groups, also I come from a very matriarchal family. The women outnumbered the men. Everything was run by the women. They decided what the plans were, how the house was going to run. They made the decisions. It was just assumed. If a man even tried to give input, it was like laughed at that they would even attempt to try to influence what was going to happen. That was a woman's prerogative. So everything was kind of determined by women growing up. And the boys did a lot of playing by themselves or playing with other neighborhood kids. But we weren't really allowed much of an active role in family life. And if you tried to take it, you were kind of just ignored. Because the women in my family very much do what they want. And they're like a force of nature. You're not going to, if they get it in their head to do something, that is what is going to happen. And you are not going to stop it. And so everything kind of bends around what the women want to do. But I'm sure there's opposite cultures, like patriarchal cultures, where it's the men that decide all of that. In fact, I think that's probably more the traditional norm. I do know that Cajun culture is traditionally matriarchal, are said to be matriarchal, especially in the sense, like the family may not necessarily be organized matriarchally because it draws its model from the Christian church, particularly the Catholic, with the husband and the wife subordinate to the husband and then raising the kids together. But culturally, everything is passed down through the female. They tell the stories, they keep the culture alive, they do the cooking, um, they keep the church traditions going. The women are the ones by far that are the most active in the church, and then they kind of drag the men along to church. So women have a big influence in the culture and what everybody ends up doing on a day-to-day basis. And so for that reason, they call it matriarchal or matrilineal. So bottom point is, bottom line, there was a big female influence on my upbringing, and much less of a male one. And for good or bad, it is what it is. I gained some advantages from it, and probably have some deficits to make up because of it. So I've just been monologuing. These are my early AM thoughts, but it is an open panel, so if anybody wants to come up, please feel free. I still have a little less than 2 hours I can go for. Because I won't be streaming tonight. No show after work. The women, you mean? Like they know what they're doing? I think kind of, even if just by default, that they don't, just the fact that they get no pushback, to me, they just assume it as the norm. But growing up, it always seemed to me, including myself, especially myself, that the women were way more socially aware. They were way more tuned in to what was going on around them with people, both men and women. And the men were always kind of catching up to the women. And so if you have that kind of awareness and information mastery, then you're gonna be in control of the culture. The men kind of just did their thing. They were quiet and solitary. They liked to hunt and fish and go out in the garden or go sit with the other men like in the corner and just kind of mumble together. But they weren't aggressive or domineering or anything. Unless they got ticked off. Then that's when the irritability would come out. So even though the women were in control, they had to keep the men calm. You didn't want to get the men to get too worked up. Oh, rage bait. The freak. I need to look into that. I think that happens to me a lot. I need to do a whole stream on rage baiting, especially autistic men. A manipulative tactic to elicit outrage. Well, they're using it in the context of internet traffic, like rage baiting viewers into visiting your site more often. Tries to provoke anger or outrage as a means of getting attention or making money. That's what some of this fake conflict content is on here. It's a lot of rage baiting. Some people have been trying to rage bait me, but I'm a spurger, not a rager. I can rage, but it's very rare. I have to get way where you really have to get me up there, and nobody on the internet has even come close. This is an in-person thing, but I do spurg, but then it's over. It's like spikes, and then it's done. Rage to me is something like continual and ongoing, and I just don't have the reserves to keep that up for very many people. There's been a few people in the past, but it's very usually I get the conflict out, I get it over with, and I move on because I'm not one to carry all that. I don't like to be like emotionally laden with negativity and stuff. I like to be emotionally free, like clear, where whatever emotion I'm having is more or less because there's usually some kind of past element to an emotion, a memory, but it's more or less because of something going on around me at the time, the now, instead of some kind of baggage from the past that just keeps getting dredged up. Well, I do need some more coffee, but maybe I have a video I can show you. I wonder if Moose would mind me playing it. Moose has been doing some great work lately, y'all, with his AI. He does AI songs and he makes videos to some of them. But he did one the other day when it's just him singing into a microphone, like lip syncing to the song. It was like a blues number. Oh my God, it brought the house down. Um, is this the real mic? It's why is it suddenly now Salute when it was trashing my channel for weeks and weeks? Let me see if this is even Mike. It's hard to tell. Well, I don't even know if this is Mike, but it looks like Mike. I've seen you over at Joey's a few times. People send me clips. So when you break that kind of trust, at least with me, it doesn't come back. I just know I can't think of a scenario that it would come back because you spent a year saying and you stuck by it, saying how much you were never going to trash my channel. The one thing I could count on is you'd never talk bad about me, all that kind of stuff. And you made the decision for some reason, I have no idea why, to 180 that. And it makes you look like the slime ball that everybody goes around saying that you are. So that's where I'm at with it. Other than that, I have no problem with you. I never have. Well, you handled it in a very immature way and stay off the internet. I don't go to the channels that dog pound me. You hang out on them. I see you. The same people you come here and complain about, you spend hours hanging out with on other panels. So you want to be taken seriously, but then you undermine all of that credibility. And you were personally attacking me the other day, not even just the panelist. Well, I've seen you on Joey's, and even worse happens on Joey's than happens here because he lets more people get away with saying more shit there. And you still hang out over there. So again, that argument crumbles and falls apart as well. Everything's disintegrating lately. Yeah, that is true because the numbers, it's definitely not the numbers that were coming in before. So, but I'm not, I don't want my numbers to come from people looking for drama. I want them to come looking for self-improvement. And if that's six people coming here looking to make themselves better people is better than 60 people coming here for fake internet drama, for my purposes. I don't know anything about the trolls. I haven't even been talking about the trolls. Oh, you talking about when you show up on channels, how all the pack follows you around? So I thought you weren't coming back. Why are you even here? You've been telling everybody you don't go to the channel anymore. Is there just nobody else streaming? I really enjoyed the Mike era, but I've moved on from it. We're doing something different now, and so it would seem like a step backwards to go back. It would keep me from going where I'm trying to go now that I've crossed that threshold. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And it does look, honestly, as much as you complain, when I see you at Joey's, it does look like you're having a good time. So I'm I'm happy about that, I guess. I, I wish you nothing but happiness. As perverse as your sense of happiness may be. The freak you could, well, I don't know. I think it takes a certain personality. Because let's think about who has them. A Talcott has one. Cerrone has one. Um, we've been trying to start a cult, or Shift has. I think I've been sabotaging it unintentionally, intentionally. Paul Unslaved has one. People tell me Bex kind of has one. King Stephen has one. Who am I missing? Some Locals. That's basically what they are. They gang stalk the locals. I had a little one for a while, but that was like a spin-off of Mike's. Yeah, but since every time I, it's amazing how every time I try to pivot to the mental health stuff, I lose the trolls and the drum. They suddenly stop troll. I suddenly stop becoming a locale because nobody wants to. Like, how do you make fun of mental health and somebody trying to do a mental health channel that improves people's lives? Then you look like the locale at that point. But as long as the drama's here and I'm hosting locales, then I become like a spin-off locale myself, and I get a collection of trolls. But I've said before, I have had trolls my whole internet life, starting, yikes, it'll be almost 30 years ago in a few years. So over 25 years ago, there were AOL trolls. There were gay.com trolls. There were MySpace trolls. Hey, Ricardo. Yeah, it's one of those waking up, can't go back to sleep things. So I want to take advantage of the time since I won't be streaming later today. But I've been mostly monologuing. Shiv came up for a little while to tell her jokes. And for most people, it's a Sunday. So church day or some day to kind of set aside as special. For me, it starts my Monday. It's a work day. So I do hope everyone has a good Sunday. Growing up, Saturdays and Sundays had their own distinct feeling, and Sunday felt like I there was a specific Sunday feeling and a Saturday feeling, particularly Saturday morning, that only happened on those days. That's part of our cultural fabric. What would a church of philosophy? They've existed before in ancient times. You had your mystery religion, and then in the Hellenistic age after Philip conquered, I mean Alexander, then you had stuff like Stoicism, Epicureanism, Cynicism, which were it's kind of what took the place of churches or religion for the intellectuals. But is there even philosophy anymore that's just not a revisiting of previous philosophy? What is philosophy? What is there left to do for philosophy? That's one of the questions in philosophy. Actually, even as far back as when I was studying it 30 something years ago. The best way to do that I have found, I'll tell you the best way to do it and then probably the worst way to do it. The best way to do it is reading the philosophers themselves, or just reading a book. The worst way to do it is to try to get it from the panel verse. Seriously. Are some of these YouTube debate, philosophy debate channels? I think unless you've had formal training in philosophy or taken an actual philosophy course at university level, maybe you had a good high school philosophy curriculum, but unless you've actually immersed yourself in some kind of introductory philosophy work, it's hard to really appreciate what an actual philosophical education is. So a lot of people think they're doing philosophy, and they may have a philosophical bent to them. But actual philosophy is something very specific. But unless, like I said, unless you've taken a course or somehow acquired that experience of doing philosophy, it's hard to know that before doing it. So I think people that don't have that in their background have a different sense of what philosophy actually is. Because that's not actually debate. That's more like rhetoric and oratory, blood sports, like they call it, which that goes back as far as, or probably even predating, logic and philosophy. Some of philosophy grew out of it. A lot of Socrates and Plato, particularly Plato, was a reaction against the sophists, the debate bros of the time. Because with the sophists, truth was determined by whoever could make the best argument for it. So, true if you could best persuade somebody that something was true, that's what determined truth. Was your ability to convince somebody of that truth. And Socrates and Plato were taking the next step, which basically established modern philosophy. And they were searching for some way to establish truth beyond just whoever had the best argument, whoever could do the best performance with words. That truth couldn't depend on just that because that's too unstable. It's too arbitrary and in flux. No, I didn't do the antlers this morning. It's 2 in the morning. And the headphones are, I got to get the headphone problem taken care of first because they're the next thing to fall off. And so they were searching for some objective standard of truth beyond just who had the best debate, who won the blood sport. Because a lot of those debates, you can win the night, but you didn't necessarily win the argument. Your logic was not necessarily persuasive or convincing. You just pulled off the best verbal performance. And Socrates and Plato were interested more in a way of determining what's true without relying on that. And Socrates in particular was interested in the area of virtue and ethics, which is what we've been talking about. How do you know what's true? You had the true, the good, and the beautiful. How do you know what's good in the sense of what's true to do in this situation? So he tried to apply it to ethical problems, and that what you should do in a given situation should not depend on you being persuaded to do something by an argument. You should do what's actually the real good thing or the real true thing that you discover using your intellect and your mind, because there's a higher standard of goodness that you could discover beyond just what people around you are trying to convince you is good. So that was one of the roots of that's the direction. Because Socrates took it in that direction and tried to use logic and reason to determine that, that's one of the roots that our logic of today is based on. And a lot of the logic and the rhetoric and the oratory developed in their political and judicial exercises, like the trainings that they had to do for they had judicial rhetoric and oratory, and they would do practice trial cases and stuff and try to convince, kind of like debate and political oratory. They would make political speeches. They'd give you a situation and make a speech convincing a crowd of this particular argument of why you should go vote this way. And so that political oratory and judicial oratory, the practice exercises and practice cases they would do in the schools, is where a lot of the modern logic got refined and codified and developed today as well. So humans have been trying to figure out how to do the right thing. This is pre-Christian, by the way. How to do the right thing, and if there even is a right thing, using their logic and their reason for a couple of thousands of years now. It's truly what, when we talk about Western culture, that truly is one of the foundations of it. That's one of the things that makes it Western, and that makes it civilization, and not just blind instinct or random intuition. Also, it's transmissible. You can teach other people how to do it so that it can be carried on through the generations and continued into the future, and the future can benefit from it, which we do to this today. Like, that's why this, I've never understood anti-intellectualism, because other than like resentment, because supporting intelligent people benefits everybody. Why would you not want to support the best and brightest in your society? Your whole society is gonna be better for that. Same with your most athletic, or strongest, or your best leaders, your most articulate and educated, and genuinely educated, not indoctrinated. If you want your society to rise and to grow, you have to support the strongest, like the strengths of your society. You have to use your strengths, same as you do on the individual level. Yeah, I try to do a little bit of that on here, but it seems to irritate a lot of people when I do. Which, funny enough, the same thing was the case with Socrates. They even killed his, like he irritated them to the point where they wanted him dead. They say, "Please go K-word yourself. You're getting on everybody's nerves, and we're tired of it." So the Greeks were supportive of logic and reason, but only to a point. When it became disruptive to society or to the next generation, they were ready to draw a line, and drawn by the people that could make the best argue, or the most convincing argument, let's say, for that particular audience. It doesn't have to be the most convincing argument for all eternity, because if you read Socrates' Apology, which is the account of his trial, his arguments are by far the most convincing for the rest of us. But for that point in time, they did not win the day. So truth that day, which social truth, truth between humans is not objective. It's intersubjective, and it's negotiated between the humans involved. So that day, I guess truth was not on his side, because the truth that carried that day was that he was sentenced. It was deemed that he transgressed the societal rules, norms, values, and that was the penalty. I'm just thinking about it in the Charlie Kirk context now and free speech. I've never seen speech as dangerous. I've never had the urge to shut somebody down because they could say something that was dangerous, that could cause harm or hurt, even to myself. I've just never been, I've always been the opposite. I've been curious. I want to hear it, I want to know it. But to some people, they perceive speech as dangerous. It's a threat. But I thought living in America that we had settled it as a country like decades ago. I didn't even think we'd still, I guess we're always going to be debating free speech. I thought that was just an assumed bedrock American value, same as 2A. And so people in America that fear speech and are threatened by speech catch me by surprise because I don't associate that as an American thing. So I'll keep doing my little part, Ricardo, to help this happen. I've had a little bit of experience with it growing up. And when at my college, because I was in college when I was 16, I skipped my senior year and went to college for a year and a half, and then I sat out for 4 years, and then I went back. And the college I went back to, they had no they had philosophy classes, but not a degree. You could only get a minor. They were just classes to supplement the other curricula. And they had no philosophy club. So I helped start the philosophy club for my college. Me and another friend that was really into philosophy. We got together and we went around to all the professors and we got them to like announce it to their class and agree to speak at the meetings, and we filled out the paperwork with the college to become official, and we went to the where you reserve buildings and rooms and stuff, and we would make sure we had a weekly room at the student union. We'd made flyers. It was fun. It lasted for about 2 years. The time that I was in the philosophy department, and then when I moved on to another major, there was no one to keep it going. So I'm like, when I say I'm a philosophy geek, I'm really into philosophy. I love it. I love studying it, reading it. I love supporting it. Genuine philosophy. People that really want to talk and do real philosophy. And in my experience with philosophy, and this is only my experience of talking, I was in my little part of Louisiana, I was known. There were very few intellectuals that could talk philosophy. So I had a reputation as somebody who could. And so people would come from like other towns even to come and sit with me for and just talk philosophy for a few hours. So I had all these random people that when they ran into me or sometimes they'd call me out of the blue, we would talk philosophy because it was so rare, hard to find down there unless you were part of the academy, like you were actually in the college. And so um shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Well, thank you, freak. Oh, yeah, 90, more than 95, 90, 98, higher than 98, maybe even 99% of philosophy, philosophical debate or discussion is semantics. It is sorting through language and terminology to make sure that the things that you are talking about and think you're disagreeing about are actually the same thing. Because a lot of time, like I said, 90 something percent time, when you get all that sorted out and you start to peel that away, you're either both talking about the same thing, you're just using different ways of saying it, or you're talking about two completely different things and there is no real disagreement because you're not even talking about the same thing. There's so much of philosophy is sorting through the confusion that happens when two individual linguistic universes collide because everybody has their own idiolect, their own slight individualized way in which they use and understand language. So when any two people come together, even from the same culture, even from the same school of philosophy, you're going to have to make sure, because so much of philosophy is abstract. You're not talking about a cup or a screwdriver. You're talking about some abstract concept. So it's not something that you could point to and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I see. We're all talking about this one thing." You can think that somebody's talking about the thing you think that they think you're talking about, but you don't there's no way to know because it's all happening in the head. And so you have to use language and get very particular and pedantic and fussy and really like pin down if your concept map is aligned with their concept map. And most of the time it's not. It's off in little ways, and you use dialogue and discussion to figure out those little ways that it's off. But when you get down to the bottom of it, actual disagreements where I believe A and I believe not A, and we are in conflict is very rare. Very rare. In fact, I get excited when I see an actual philosophical disagreement because they're so rare. There's metaphysical disagreements, like metaphysicalism and naturalism. But again, once you pin down the assumptions, you end up in two different worlds, talking about two different things. It's almost impossible to have an actual dialogue across those worldviews. Hey, kitty. I was thinking about you the other day. Did you see the new ones? Hang on. I just didn't fool with them today because I'm having headphone issues now, and they're becoming very delicate, and I'm trying to keep them from falling apart. But anyway, these are the new ones, and if I turned off all these lights, hang on, I can give y'all a peek. Y'all have been loyal viewers and supporters. Uh-oh. All right, wait for this. Wait for this. Look at 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 this. They go with the background too. Antlers in the night. All right. So there is the why no antlers answer. Mostly the headphone issue. I got them at the little German town that I visited. They had the hat shop, and I saw it on a YouTube video, and had all these hats. And when I saw it, I said, I bet they're going to have antlers. Something tells me there's going to be antlers somewhere in that store. And so when I got there, one of the first places I looked for was the hat shop. And man, not only did they have the antlers that light up, they had these masks with horns, these goat masks and devil masks. Well, I think the Germans appropriated them from China, but they they weren't the right look for the stream. The mask, they covered up too much of the face, and Anyway, I have it all on stream. I did a live stream from it, so it's all on camera. Y'all can watch if y'all are bored with nothing to do. And then I went on a nature walk afterwards, which, oh my God, part of me is still out there. That's the dangerous thing about nature, but is that I leave part of myself out there. Like I don't fully come back. Like I'll fully come back from a drug trip at some point in a day or two. But if I have a good camping weekend or something, it takes me like days, almost a whole week sometimes, for my mind to fully come back. Oh, well, thanks, Beak. This opened me up now that I have a second pair. It made me realize I don't need just one pair of antlers. I can have a collection. So anytime I'm out and about, I could just pick up a pair here, a pair there. Like like people do with sunglasses or shoes. And I don't have to get too like perfectionistic about, ooh, I have to find just the right pair of antlers. I can just pick up random antlers when I see them and eventually keep wearing the ones I like. Mask on a stick. Well, if you're masking me a question about a mask, all right, Ricardo, that sounds good. I encourage that. In fact, everybody should go take a walk. I might even wrap the stream up. I've been going over an hour, mostly on pure monologue. Carrie Smith, is she a celeb? Yeah, I think if you don't get a panel in an hour, if nobody's showing up at your little gig after an hour, I think you could safely shut it down. Try another night. I love walk. I want to do more outdoor streams. I that was I got a lot out of the walk itself. I got a lot out of being able to stream it and share it with the rest of you. I got a lot out of it opening the door to new types of content. So I work the next 5 days, so probably it'll just be some evening streams this week, starting tomorrow, Monday. And I'll do a few members only. But then maybe my next day off or next weekend I'll do some kind of excursion. Yes, please bonk the like and send money as well. I'm going to be eventually reducing my hours at work, so every little bit that you can throw my way will help. I am preparing to upgrade the channel, the equipment. I'm looking to hire some people for production work, and I may even do this road trip thing eventually. I'm gonna looking to do a practice one soon, as soon as I find somebody or a couple of people to do it with, like line up some destinations. So there's plenty. The support's not going to be wasted. There's plenty to apply it to that you will hopefully get to see live results from it. And yes, the Ko-Fi link and the Cash App help the most. Oh my God, Beak. Thank you again. Wow. All right. I'm not going to let that go by with nothing. Here we go. Thank you, Beak. And yes, the fries. Maybe I'll get some this week. Especially, oh my God, now that I have wheels, the drive-through. For the first time in like, I don't know, 20, 15 years, I can go through a drive-through and get the fries. The only thing missing would be Donald Trump himself handing me the bag out of the window. Thank you, Beak. Yes, thank you, thank you. And I do have a practice. If you know people that need what I do, mostly like guidance for men's mental health, neurodivergence. Almost all of my work centers around self empowerment, so it's going to be finding ways that for the person to help themselves get out of the situation and gain some skills that they can use in the future. That kind of stuff. Send them my way, give them my link. Yeah, I might stop and get some fries this week. Thank you. I don't get as many fries as I used to since I started working. All right. Well, that's it for me. It's been fun. Thanks for hanging out. I love the little night crowd. And I'll see you on Monday. All right. At least this is where I'll be. So, hope to see you. All right. Take care, everybody.